Hey guys, it's Mo from Mo in the Deep End. And the more I get excited about, possibly murder boarding or at least, kind of going through on my new giant whiteboard that is supposed to be here tomorrow. So excitedness. The more I keep thinking about, being excited to see the Scott Peterson case through not emotional eyes, I will fully admit that there could have been exonerating evidence, and I was in such a place in my life that, a guy being unfaithful and that much of a douche canoe, he'd have been guilty. Unfortunately, I own it. I know, but I am kind of interested to go back and see how I feel about the state's evidence, the state's case, now that I know a little bit more about how the sausage is made. Not to the point of being a lawyer or anything like that, but just maybe the vagaries of certain forensic sciences that we didn't know, or, how things are phrased. If, if the state's case actually would make me after, careful logic and according to Chandler Halderson's defense team, as not a human, but a juror, if I would find him guilty now. I really want to see if that's the case. But I feel like it wouldn't be right to start that without paying tribute and giving attention and shining light on the fact that the world lost Laci Peterson, regardless of how I feel, and her unborn son, Connor. And I feel like, I understand this is just a Wikipedia page. I'm a mom of six. I don't have all the times in the world. I will actually be recording, the Scott Peterson thing around 4 a.m. in the morning. So be ready for avatars. But all that being said, the world missed out on the wonderful mother that Laci Peterson would be. Her parents, even Scott Peterson's parents, missed out on the absolute blessing it is to have a son, to bring someone into the world, and to grow your family, to grow his extended family almost immediately, to fall in love with this little person that's lived inside you. And I really feel like, just taking a little time before I get into sort of the nerdy aspects of tearing things apart and seeing how things are going, that I really needed to honor, especially right after Mother's Day. The fact that Laci Peterson was a mom, was going to be a mom. And for that reason, according to the state, she and her son lost their lives. So, regardless of how I feel guilty, not guilty, reasonable, not reasonable, I definitely wanted to honor Laci Denise Peterson, uh, who was lost through all of this. And her parents have done a wonderful job keeping her memory up. I'm not saying that. But it is easy to sometimes get into these, ooh, this is a new legal thing, and forget that all of these cases have victims. Even the defendant's family often is a victim. They didn't know that their family member was going to do this or would ever be able to do this. So there are waves of destruction that sometimes I think we forget about just a little bit. So to honor Laci Denise Peterson, maiden named Rosha, born May 4th, 1975, and unfortunately found or declared dead December 24th, 2002. She was an American woman that is allegedly she was unalived by her husband. Now, that is adjudicated, so he did, but in keeping with the whole appeals thing. Anywho, she was married to Scott Lee Peterson, who was born on October the 24th, 1972, and looked like an utter douche with that blonde hair and that IT goatee. Sir, I am bringing all the petty forth. Now, while she was 8 months pregnant with their first child, Laci disappeared on December 24th, 2002, allegedly from the couple's home in Modesto, California. Now, Scott Peterson on that day said that he was going golfing to a couple people, but then changed his plans to going fishing on, a body of water in the middle of December. I have no idea, y'all. But he comes home, sees things like half mopped and a couple different things that get the old almonds in the brains, a fire in that maybe something's happened to my wife. Now, sadly, through the entire search, Scott seemed to be a little bit absent, a little bit, oddly smiling at times, and it turns out that even though he told the police officers in his initial interview that he was not carrying on an extramarital affair, he actually was with a woman named Amber Fry. Now, I will give Amber Fry so much credit, and I didn't back when this all happened, I saw her as the other woman, so again, with maturity comes a little bit of grace and, you know, realizing things aren't always black and white. There are levels of gray. And as soon as she realized the gravity of this case, the fact that, Scott's wife was missing, not already passed away, like he said, you know, and that his potential unborn baby was also missing, she went to the police. They bugged her phone. They tried to get incriminating evidence, from her phone tap, and she came forward. She did her part to try to get justice for another woman who had her life cut short. So, for all the grace I did not extend you in my younger years, I extend you humbly all the grace, Amber Fry. I should not have been so judgmental, but there you go. So the search goes on until her remains, and not all of her remains, but, her torso and other things, because the state's theory is that Scott used homemade anchors to weigh her down, but during the natural processes of, okay, there's no nice way to say this, decomposition, the body will tend to float. Now, those ligaments and tendons also kind of erode. So the torso really doesn't hold on to anything. And there are cases of coffin death where the mother has passed away and the buildup of gases expel the child. So, in the coldest and saddest way possible, I mean, I never saw Scott Peterson cry a single tear. But I saw her parents cry. I saw her friends cry. And, innocent or not, uh, I really think that's telling. I mean, it's just me, it's my opinion. I will say that she probably was terrified in her last moments, regardless of who took her life or what we find out. She wanted Connor so much, and she made changes to her lifestyle, during her pregnancy when she started getting fainting spells or things like that. She made sacrifices in the things she wanted to do because she wanted to be the best mom for this baby. And the fact that it looks like Scott Peterson just was not ready to settle down and he just could not fathom a divorce. Laci is we are robbed of Laci in the world. Look, our circles might have never met, but the overwhelming grief that her parents have shown this entire time, I losing a child, losing a family member to violence, I can only imagine is such a terrible gaping hole of just sadness and anger and hate and all of those things that you want to rage about. Like, God, why did you let this happen? And I don't know the answer to that, but this video isn't really about answering, life's very, very strange questions. This is about, you know, remembering that Laci kind of grew up on a dairy farm, that she loved, working outside, working in plants. She majored in ornamental horticulture. So, how awesome is that? I cannot keep any plants alive to save my life. she was a cheerleader in junior high and high school, and, you know, eh, she just looks so happy. I remember being so struck by this photo that she just looks so happy, so content. So I just it radiates a joy, an impending joy of knowing your life is gonna change and something that you have been able to grow in your body and protect and love, you finally get to meet this surprise person that's going to be a mix of you and your husband or your partner, and the fact that that was taken away from her, I just want us, mainly myself, but I it felt only right that we give Lacey and Connor some respect and a little bit of time, and, I would say if you believe in such things, keep Lacey's family in your prayers, and it's going to be hard because of how they act, but keep Scott Peterson's parents and family in your prayers too. People do not, you know, get to pick that their family members are going to do something heinous, horrible, and something no one saw coming. And the way they deal with that might not always be the most, productive. But I know that they miss the idea of a grandchild, and Lacey seems like a ball of joy, seemed like she was. So those are my thoughts. I just felt it was fitting with Mother's Day just passing that I give some respect to a woman who unfortunately did not get to share this joy that, a lot of women find from being a mother. So, any hoozle, that is what I thought of today, and I will see you later. I've got nightly newsy news, so please pay attention for that. It is at 7 Eastern Daylight Time because we had to go with daylight savings for some reason. Any hoozle, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and, work on bringing joy to your circle. If all our circles connect, we'll have so much better of a world. Bye, guys.